Hello, today we're going to talk about what an apostle is and how your birth certificates are basically cartoons. They're like comic books. Okay, so let's begin. An apostle. The legal definition is any international document that requires additional authentication. It can be from a school record to an adoption paper. It was done to reduce the amount of time taken on authentication between countries. Corporations. They should have had that. Okay, now this is where it gets very interesting. This is how they did this. An apostille is, in civil law, certificates of the inferior judge from whom a cause is removed, directed to the superior. Okay, what does this mean? Well, this is how they've trapped you with the birth certificates. They're the inferior judge. They're a corporation. They're dead. Corpus. Dead body. They do not have consciousness. And this, in the scenario I'm talking about, is the Vatican. They are handing you a contract. It's a letter. Okay? Or a certificate from an inferior judge. And they are asking you, would you like us to hold your money, your mineral and energy wealth, in what's called a usufruct. A usufruct. It is the right to use and profit off something belonging to another. Now, how they did this was the Cestui Trust Act, Cestui Trust Act of 1666. Now you can go and read this in the legislationuk.gov or legislationgov.uk, and they have the whole thing here. I'm going to make a specific video about this, but it is clearly stated that you are handing your mineral and energy wealth over to the crown, and you're lost at sea. It's basically what it's saying. You're lost at sea and you cannot be found, and they're the ones keeping your money in what's called a usufruct until you're 7 years old. Next video I'm making will be about this. Now, let's go back. An apostille. Certificates of the inferior judge from whom a cause is removed, directed to the superior. You're the superior. You are the superior. You're this. Although these guys, the Vatican, are pretending to be mediators between the original God, although it is their gods. It is the Elohim, or Jehovah, that they're actually mediating, in quotes, and they're trying to make you believe through this Bible that they've written that their God Elohim, which is, it's a whole bunch of creator gods, is their gods. But the thing is, you're technically kind of, unfortunately, controlled by them because they genetically modified us and made us into this. But okay, so we're going to go back to this. So they ask you for a contract or certificate. Your parents sign off on this fake name that cannot be read, right? The dog Latin name with the last name attached, the surname. And they put you in what's called a Cestui Act, the Cestui Trust. You're lost at sea. Now, Bulgaria is part of this. We're part of the Apostille Convention, the Hague Apostille Convention. And let's keep going. So this is the International Apostille Service. We are part of it right there. There it is, Bulgaria. And I talk about everything that's involved with this. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, la-di-da. It's all part of this legal mess and absolute psychopathic world that we live in. Okay. Now, very important text we have to discuss is illustrative text, transformed words, and the language of comics by Sarah Whitty. Now, she worked for Walt Disney, I believe, and she wrote a paper, this paper, about linguistics and how comics are to be portrayed and the differentiation between language and comic books, and specifically pictograms. Okay, so what is this talking about here? Now, if anyone wants to have this document, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll like leave your email or something, and I'll send you this PDF. You can read it or translate it. But what it's talking about is comic books. Now, when a text or on a page, when you have a page and there are boxes such as these and illustrative text, this is illustrative text, it's considered to be off the page. It's as if this page is actually empty right now, and what you're seeing is a secondary page because of the box is being placed on top, and the words are just pictures displaying an idea or a story. They're talking about a story. Okay, I'll read it. Indeed, it tells time. The magnitude of time elapsed is not expressed by the panel per se, as an examination of blank boxes in a series quickly reveals. Well, what it's saying is, if you read the whole document, it explains that these boxes are, as I said, not on the page. So when you guys are doing your referendums or anything like that, you are technically using comic book style documentation. Whereas in this, anything inside this box is not on the page. This is the page, and this is where the contents of whatever you are writing in correct grammatical form, even though the language system is completely screwed up. English is a satanic language, but in this case, what I'm talking about is something different, so you can at least understand the fundamentals. Okay. Whatever is on the page, if it is bounded by a box, is not on the page. That's what it's saying. Now, letters dismissory. Oh yeah, apostille. Letters dismissory from an inferior court to a superior court. Okay, I want to go back to examples of documentation. So this the first one that shows up is Bulgarian. Let's click on it. Okay, there's the hieroglyphic text. It's already destroyed from the first second I look at it, and it is within a box. That box means that it's not on the page. It is off the page. This is an empty piece of paper, and even if you did read it, it's psychopathic, because how can you read something that has no structure and it can't be read? You see my point? Okay, now let's keep going. There's a lot. Doesn't matter. See? Boxes. Boxes and comic books. It's the same thing. She explains this in these documents. What you're seeing is a comic book in your birth certificate. That's what's going on. Anything in boxes. Also, when you're trying to do these referendums, I'll specifically talk about what that is. It's basically like slaves revolting against their owners. That's what you guys are doing, whereas as you can read here, you're not a slave. You're actually the highest form. You're superior to them. You are the patrician. There's no reason to be revolting. It's not like you are from source. You are fullness. You are the full expression of source. You don't need to ask anyone for permission for this kind of stuff, whereas they've made it where you need to ask for this kind of permission for everything. And they usurp you into this, to taking all your money and saying that you're lost at sea, you're dead. See? Dead or alive. Okay. Let's keep going. Now, pagan. With the illustrative text that I was explaining before, the comic book style text, imagine this being your name. Works the same exact way. Here's your name. Right there in the box. Same exact thing. No difference. You fall into the land of pagans because what happens is when you do not use a correct name according to them, you are considered someone that doesn't use a Christian name or a Jewish name or a correct Muslim name in this case, which is your first and second name. It is this name. It's your baptismal name. First and second. First and father name, middle name. That's your name. And it needs to be distinguished from the last name, which comes from which is connected to Gentile surnames, Goyim. Yeah, that's what it's talking about. Now, a pagan, an adherent of a polytheistic religion in antiquity, especially when viewed in contrast to an adherent of a monotheistic religion, a neo-pagan, one who has no religion. Now let's click and see. Was it here? Oh, it was here. Okay. Yes. Paganism. From the word paganus in Latin, meaning, and this is the most important part, civilian. Civil. Civil law. Okay? You fall into this world of being a pagan. Now, a pagan means that you are literally just someone who can speak. You technically can't read because the languages, according to them, come from their gods, the Elohim. Okay? They're the ones that can read and use the Christian name. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I know it's a little confusing. That's why it's made confusing, because it's supposed to keep you. You were never supposed to figure any of this out at all. Now, if you're not using the Christian name, if you are using the Christian name, I'm sorry, you're considered a soldier of Christ, which is basically part of the religion. As I said, this is like a kind of military style, religious military style dictatorship that we're under. So civilian, a person who is not an active member of military, the police, or belligerent group in conflict, a person who is not an employee of the government, a specialist in Roman law or civil law. Now, this is the term that we're actually looking for here. This is what they mean. Because you're technically all combatants. They're pretty much lying with these other two definitions. You're in a military style court system. Okay. Now, as I was explaining before about the glosses, where would it go? There we go. And the gloss sign language that they're using, American Sign Language. That is no one-to-one correspondence with another language. So when we type in glossa, it literally means the tongue. A tongue-like structure in the labium of an insect. In anatomy, the tongue. That's what glossa means. Okay. So if we look at glossa text, you'll see that it's referring to ASL. It's a different language altogether. Now, an interesting thing. What is a pagan tongue or pagan tongues? Well, the psychology of speaking in tongues, that from a linguistic point of view, religiously inspired, glossolalia utterances have the same general characteristics as those that are not religiously inspired. Glossolalia then is a purely human phenomenon and not limited to Christianity nor even to religious behavior. Now, let's look up what glossolalia means. A fabricated and non-meaningful speech, especially such speech associated with a trance state or a certain schizophrenic syndrome. The gift of tongues, the ability to speak foreign languages without having consciously learned them. The power is asserted to be sometimes presented in somnambulistic persons. Well, if you can't speak two languages, because these are two languages, you're technically crazy. That's why this system it's a demonic system. It's an underworld system. It's a duplicate of what is supposed to be correct. The true written language form is Anuhazi. It's not English. But in the case that we're looking for, if you want to find remedy at the present moment in the situation, you better learn this stuff. So, they're telling you directly what it means to be a pagan. It means to speak in tongues. To use glossa, it's in the word. To use two languages that have no correlation with each other. And this is in the Chicago Styles Manual, guys. They're literally telling you the same thing. One obvious limitation of using glosses from the spoken written language to represent signs is that there's no one-to-one correspondence between the words or signs in any two languages. There it is. You're in a schizophrenic state. They think you're crazy and dead. You're in a state of confusion when you're using this dog Latin language. Okay? A state of confusion. You're speaking it in two tongues in a diglossia that you don't know and has no structure. You're using sign language, the language of Babylon. And let's look at glossa text, biblical glosses. They're used in the margins of the text, and they're used specifically to better understand a certain word and what it means. So if you want to associate yourself, like the physical you, the one that's living, and better describe yourself in their own words, you're technically using foreign words to try to gloss or sign whatever it is you want to presume you are. I hope I'm being clear about that. You're associating yourself with something that is not you, but is only a shadow of you. Okay? And they're used in the marginal sides of the text. So if you have, let's just say, a text, you are basically everything that's on the sides here, or some kind of commentary on the sides. This is where the uppercase pictographic text needs to go. The word mark text on the sides of the page, not in the middle here. You shouldn't have a box, and there should be nothing around it, but if you're making a remark, it should be on the sides of the page with the uppercasing text. But what they did was they brought in this text into the main body of the text, thus rendering it unreadable, making you a pagan. Okay? And if we remember from the other videos, corporate body, I think that's what it was, yeah. Blacks. Okay. Maybe it wasn't this. This term, or its equivalent body corporate, is applied to private corporation aggregates, which means citizens. If we remember what citizens is, it's someone with a nation. A nation is goyim. A goyim is a pagan or a Gentile, not including municipal corporations. Okay, so all of your municipalities are also corporations. Let me go back here. So, as I explained, glosses, and this is a biblical contract that you guys are in. It's you've agreed to come into this world and before you were born and have to figure this out if that's your code. Okay, as I said before, this is on the American Sign Language University. Bulgarian Sign Language, same thing. Okay, there's no difference. It clearly states the gloss label of an ASL sign doesn't equal English. You can also read it. The gloss label of an BSL, Bulgarian Sign Language sign, doesn't equal Bulgarian. It's the same thing, okay? This is the language of Babylon. That's why it's called Babylon. You are a baby for a very long time. You don't know how to read. You're in a state of confusion. In a schizophrenic state, you're confused. You're technically crazy in their world. Okay? This is hell. Unfortunately. All these guys, a whole bunch of fallen angelics, Anunnakis, they all come from the Jehovah entity. That's what's going on there. You know, the whole problem, this problem that we're in, it started 300 billion years ago in dimension 11.5 with the entity Jehovah starting to fall. And all of the sub-races that came from that entity are the ones that are doing this right now. Okay, those are the Elohim. Now, as I was talking about before with London, or Roman London, Londinium, where the city of London is located, where all the banks are, the temple of Mithras is there. It's in the city of London. Mithras is from a Zoroastrian religion. That's where it comes from, Mithra, the god Mithra. But Zoroastrianism is, Zoroastrian concepts, including the idea of a single god, heaven, hell, and a day of judgment, may have been first introduced to the Jewish community of Babylonia, where people from the kingdom of somewhere, and this is, they're like, even, you know, it's crazy, they're telling you. Oops. Where was it? They're telling you that it's part of it. That's all I want to say. Because if I get into this, we can go on forever. This is a very deep topic. But all the families that are controlling Rome and the city of London and the United States, Washington, D.C. centers, they're all from this region. And they've moved. It's Babylon. We're still in Babylon. They're all fallen Jehovian Anunnaki, Elohim. We basically live in a big cube that's perpetually renewing itself. That's what's going on. That's why they worship the black cube. Okay. Surnames. What is the difference? This attaches you to a family or a clan or a tribe. Okay? Whereas in your first and your middle name are your Christian names, and they distinguish you as an individual, as a living man, pre-Vatican term. This attaches you to a nation, to a clan, to a tribe, and you become associated with the corporations. You become a goyim. That's what it basically means. Was it? I remember reading it here. Oh, yeah. See? Indicates one's family, tribe, or community. It's the same thing as the pagan. Maybe it wasn't pagan, it was Gentile. There we go. Gentile. Which I'm pretty sure in Bulgarian it translates to the same thing, Izichnik. It's a pagan. And it distinguishes everyone from the three religions, from the Jews. Where was it? Can't find it. Maybe it was in the other. Oh, there we go. Relating to a tribe or a clan. Okay? Surnames. Tribe or clan connects you to the country, to the corporations, to the underworld. That's what I wanted to explain. I know it's a little complicated, but that's what this means. This glossolalia. You're speaking in tongue. You become a pagan when you accept this graphical text, this gloss text. A text with no structure. It's very sneaky and demonic what they've done, but it's how the world works. And there is a method to get out. Okay, so if you're here in the legal fiction realm, this is remedy within the situation. If this entire thing is a ship, if you use your if you've used the legal name that you have, the three letter name here, or the 3-word name with no grammatical standing, you fall into the legal fiction. If you start using your Christian name, you can take control of the equity that you have at birth, your cestui, which you've given to the Vatican, and you can either make a decision to leave the ship, because it's in the dock. That's what birthing means. If you look at birth, B-E-R-T-H, means a docked ship. So when you birth something, that you're on the ship, but you have an option of getting off. Think of it like this. Here, you're born on the ship, or you enter the ship. Let's put it that way. You're born on the land, you enter onto the ship from the land through the bridge, and you cross the bar, and you're on the ship now. They take off all of your clothes, and they take all of your gold that you came with, your energetic and your mineral energy wealth. They put you into this side, down into the bottom of the ship, where you're a slave and you're basically dead and you're crazy, into the underworld below the water. And they take control of the equity. Now what has to be done is, with the Christian name, you can go back to this side, put the clothes back on that you came with, and they're still keeping the equity in the banks. But you have the right to ask if you want to take the equity to your estate, which means the mineral and energy wealth of your land, and get off the ship, this corporate ship that you're on, this Vatican-owned ship. Now, this is still, even with the Christian name and technically living man status, you're still you're still in this corporate system, but it does give some kind of remedy and option to getting out. Now, what they're referring to is being the mediators of God. That's why they have the 2 keys right here. That's why they have the 2 keys, the silver and the gold. They hold that, and they're the mediators of the silver and the gold. They're mediating with their gods, okay? Because their gods, back in the day, are claiming to have basically copyright over your DNA, because they've genetically modified everyone here a long time ago into the original man, according to their image, in their image. in their Bible, Jehovah, Elohim. These are the creator gods. And they'll say, "Oh, we created you, like we technically own you because we're your gods." No. We have an original God source. We come from the original God source. But once you get to this state, that's when you can start getting off the ship and coming back here into this man's status. But at that point, if you've gotten to that point, you would have the conscious capacity and the spiritual capacity to start communicating with these guys and let them know, you cannot do this anymore. We're entering into a period of change. This is not how this works. It's either this stops or everything's gonna fall apart. Unfortunately, they want to take over the whole system, the whole matrix. And this problem is going on in dimension 11.5. I can talk about how the structure of this matrix works. The connection point is at dimension 12 between the other matrices, but they're coming from dimension 11.5. And they're saying that they made you in their image. But if we look at Zion, it's like this. God, or I'll say original God, man, creditor, debtor. And this is the path to hell. It's a Z, Zion. Now the path back to source. From here, you go back to here, and back to here. It's the reverse. With the Vatican being the mediator. But this is the underworld. As above, so below. That's why they keep saying it all the time. It's a whole bunch of demonic stuff, but that's what's going on. Okay, I'm going to end it at that. I know I went a little bit off topic, but I hope you guys can understand how this works and what the certificates of the inferior judge from whom a cause is removed directed to the superior. You are the superior. You are the patrician. You are the highest status, guys. You do not need to ask these guys for anything. One more thing before I end. It's very important. I want to talk about this. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Plebiscitium. A law enacted by the plebs, or commonality, that is, the citizens, with the exemption of the patricians, that's Rothschild, Rockefeller, and the senators, the guys who also are controlled by these guys. At the request or on the proposition of a I'm losing my words. Plebeian magistrate, such as a tribune. Getting tired. Okay. Let me go back. Goes this? No. Ah. Yes. Here we go. Plebiscite. In modern constitutional law, the name plebiscite has been given to a vote of the entire people. This means a nation, the Goyim, the Gentile, the pagan. That is the aggregate of the enfranchised individuals and composing a state or nation. Okay, Goyim. Now, if you want to do a referendum of something that you don't like, and you want to ask your masters, oh, please don't shoot me on the left side of the head, shoot me on the right side of the head, please. You make a referendum. So every time you guys are making these referendums for these currency changes that they want to bring in, specifically also the digital currencies and all that stuff, because they will make everything digital. That is the plan. They've already stolen all the money, and once they make it all digital, it's pretty much game over. But doing these referendums, it's this. It's it's the boxes. It's you're a pleb, and you're asking your masters to give you mercy. That is what's going on. But you're not the pleb, guys. You're not the lowest class. You are the highest class. You own them, okay? You own them. They are in your service. That is what the Vatican's job is. It is supposed to be the bank that keeps your money secure, and then you are the guy here, or specifically here, controlling it. So you don't keep all your gold at home, okay? Or whatever type of wealth. They're not supposed to be controlling everything. You're the one that's supposed to be controlling it. You're not a pleb. You're the highest form from God, or whatever you want to call source. It doesn't have a name. The fullness that we come from, and the emptiness, because it's not in materialization. It has no name. It's not something that can be explained. But you do not need to ask permission. You have to understand. Stop using this legal world. It's all false lie, all of it. It's a completely different system. This is where we need to be functioning. But we're functioning here in the underworld. And what we need to go into is here. The side of the living, the side of the sovereign. Okay, I'm going to end at that. Thank you, guys.